Everybody wants a piece of that football pie. Investing in football globally is blowing up. You've got so many actors and sports heroes and so on investing in football globally. Everybody wants to be the next Ryan Reynolds and have their team all over TV and the riches and the fame and all that great stuff. But it's not only happening in Europe. We've got plenty of local investment here in South Florida. So let's get into some of the great investing that we're seeing here in South Florida so that we can remember and appreciate what is happening, because it wasn't always like this. We didn't always have an Inter Miami who has invested in Fort Lauderdale first and foremost by building Chase Stadium, temporary stadium, but it's not going anywhere. Their training facility that I believe costs around $90 million. And then the academy. Can't speak enough about the academy and the products that have come out of the academy, like Noah Allen, Ian Frey, David Ruiz. So lots of great products coming out of the academy and more to come. Can't speak enough about what they're doing in the academy. But of course, that's not the only investment. They're investing $1 billion in Miami at Miami Freedom Park. 25,000 seat stadium, 58-acre park, 750 hotel rooms, retail, office space, entertainment space, and $350 million of those dollars are going to this beautiful stadium. Huge investments happening by the Moss brothers and David Beckham. Inter Miami, the last we've seen, has been valuated at $1.2 billion. Large part due to the investment by the ownership group, also investing in players like Messi. We can't underestimate the value of Messi and what he's done to this team. That is part of the investment that we see here at Inter Miami. But a $1.2 billion valuation is incredible. But they're not the only ones investing in Miami, because we've got Miami FC that we recently talked about in a stadium video. So go check that out if you want more details on the stadium. But they have partnered with Sports Performance Hub that have several well-known athletes that are part of that ownership group. And they are building a $300 million sports performance center that will include a 15,000-seat stadium, a hotel on the end of that stadium, boarding school, sports fields for soccer, baseball, football, tennis, probably some volleyball, you name it, they got it. They're going to be growing your next future stars. They have been, as of 2023, I think it was, they were valuated at $56 million. So that's obviously going to grow considerably once this performance center is finished, but currently are valued at $56 million. Still pretty good for a team that, doesn't really draw that well, but they are still investing heavily in South Florida. The academy that they are going to be building will be an investment. Obviously, they want to make their money back. It is a business, but the people of Miami, the soccer players, the football players, the elite are going to get the opportunities they may not have had previously. So this is going to be great news for the investments in Miami. But again, they're not the only ones, because Tommy Smith of All Year Cooling, the owner of All Year Cooling, an air conditioning company, been very successful with his air conditioning company and decided to invest in women's football here in Fort Lauderdale. They have spent $7 million to renovate the Miami Dolphins training facility, 7,000-seat stadium there. It's nice. They've done a great job renovating that stadium. If you want to get a closer look, check out one of our game day vlogs there at Beyond Bankard Field. So they've got a women's Division I team playing in the Gainbridge Super League. They have a men's League II team. And in 2026, they will have a League I team for men. So they're building out their full structure to become a real club. Obviously, they also have an academy as well. That is always a part of these deals. They obviously want to make some of their money back with academy. It is still a pay-to-play system in most cases. So that is, that's the reality, but they want to obviously get a return on their investment. And speaking of investment, welcome Gio Reyna. As we mentioned, we have seen a lot of stars investing in football, but now we're seeing some soccer stars, young soccer stars, investing back into soccer in this country. People like Gio Reyna, Tyler Adams, DeMarcus Beasley in Fort Wayne, Casey Keller with Athletic Club Boise, Michael Parkhurst, Chris Richards, Tim Weah. So the list goes on and on of these current players, some of them current players, investing back into soccer. Gio Reyna, only 22 years old and investing in Fort Lauderdale soccer. What were you doing at 22 years old? Did you have the money or the desire to invest in football? I know I didn't. I was out partying and I wasn't thinking about investing in soccer. But with this investment, currently, Fort Lauderdale United is valuated at $55 million. This is a small team that some of you have maybe never heard of, and yet have an evaluation at $55 million. Now, I know that's nothing in comparison to Inter Miami's $1.2 billion, but look, they're right there on the tail of Miami FC that has been around for 10 or so years. They've got owners Tommy Smith, like I mentioned, Dion Graham, Gio Reyna, and Hassan Pinto. I think it was Hassan Pinto that got Gio Reyna into this ownership group. Gio had this to say about joining Fort Lauderdale United. What truly sold me on Fort Lauderdale United was the ownership group's comprehensive vision. They're not just creating two professional teams, they're building a complete ecosystem for player development from the youth level all the way to the pros. Congratulations to Fort Lauderdale United. Congratulations to Gio Reyna, welcoming you into the ownership group. At the end of all this investment, you and I, the soccer fans, we're the ones that benefit. The kids in the local communities, they benefit. Back in the days of the Fort Lauderdale Strikers and the ending of the Miami Fusion, there was nothing, right? They were struggling to get a professional team in South Florida. Now we see an abundance of investment happening in soccer in South Florida. It is unprecedented time for soccer in South Florida. You've got, everything you want. If you love MLS and you love seeing the best players in the world, great. Go see Inter Miami. If you don't like MLS because of their corporate structure and you want a little more homegrown feel, go support Miami FC. If you want that same feeling, but you want to support the women's side of the game, go to Fort Lauderdale United. Don't wait for an NWSL team. It's happening right now. The investment in soccer in South Florida is happening right now. And we need to sit back and appreciate it because it wasn't always like this. And hey, it can only get better. There's hopefully will be more teams coming to South Florida or maybe a little bit north of us. There's potential for a West Palm Beach USL Championship Club, other teams in Naples. And so Florida in general is getting a lot of investment in soccer. So let us know in the comments below how you feel about this growth of soccer in South Florida and the investments that you see. Would you like to see investments in a slightly different area of soccer in South Florida? Let me know in the comments below how you would invest if you had the money to invest in South Florida soccer. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.